responsibility for their reliance on such content, information, or opinions.
Are you a family caregiver? Are you caregiving for someone who can no longer take care of themselves? Are you overwhelmed? This is Caregiver Solutions Info with Marcia Teele. Marcia will be hosting an hour of true stories and information, tips and updates of the latest research and necessary information in the caregiving field, focusing on you, the family caregiver. An Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert, Marcia has 15 years of hands-on experience at Arden Courts, a leader in assisted living dementia communities here in the U.S. Marcia covers everything you need to know as a family caregiver, especially if you care for a loved one with Alzheimer's disease or other related dementia or chronic illness. If you have a friend or relative that is also a family caregiver, call them now. They won't want to miss a minute. And let them know they can watch on caregiversolutions.info. And they can listen on WNN 1470 AM in South Florida or nationally on the iHeartRadio app. Now, sit back, relax, and learn from our host, Marcia Teele, as she brings information to you that may just be the caregiving solution you need.
Hi, everyone, and thank you for coming to watch the Caregiver Solution Info Show. My name is Marcia Teele, and I'm your host for the last 7 years. This is a program for you, the family caregiver, and for your family to learn more about caregiving and about different types of dementia, especially Alzheimer's disease. We've been doing this show for 7 years, and we have lots of experts on the program to bring you their expertise, their knowledge, and their experience to teach you things that a caregiver might need to know along their caregiving journey. These are people like doctors, elder law attorneys, social workers, care managers, psychologists, psychiatrists, and sometimes even real caregivers, because there's no better way to learn than from walking in someone's shoes. And so I happened to be over in one of the Arden Courts memory care assisted livings last week over on the west coast of Florida. And a couple came in to see me. They sat down. They said they just needed some information. So we started talking about their situation. It turns out that the lady's sister lived up north, and she was very worried about her because she was hearing things from neighbors letting her know that her sister was doing some strange things and maybe she shouldn't be living by herself. She did have a neighbor that was sort of filling in and checking on her once in a while and then giving the sister in Florida information. But the sister felt like she didn't know really enough to make any type of decisions. And apparently the neighbor had been doing this for such a long time that they felt that maybe this neighbor was kind of tired of doing what they were doing and was maybe not telling the truth about what was happening, trying to get the lady to leave her home. So we sat there and we started talking, and I said, well, have you ever heard of a geriatric care manager? And she says, no, what's that? And so in my profession, I really talked to thousands of caregivers over the last 21 years. And there's always something to learn. And caregivers are born every day when someone gets down and out with a diagnosis of some type of dementia and family have to step in. People don't have a background in taking care of someone. They don't have a background in knowing about the disease. They don't know what they don't know. And so although we've talked about care management many times over the years, I realized that it's worth repeating because there's, like I said, a caregiver born every day and they need to know. And so we're going to be talking about that today. And if you don't know what a geriatric care manager is and what they do, you will definitely know by the time this program is over. So I'm happy to have a wonderful associate of mine. I've known her for 20 plus years, and she is a geriatric care manager. Her name is Sonia Cobran, and she's the president and founder of VIP care management here in South Florida. Hi, Sonia. Welcome.
Thank you, Marcia. I'm so glad to be back on your show.
Yep, it's been about 3 years ago, I
Yes.
think, and we got a lot of great reviews, people that need to know this information. But here we are again. We're going to be repeating it because, again, there's so many people that need information all the time.
Right.
And so we're going to start at the beginning. I know that your care management team, they help people navigate through the issues of seniors and all the things that they need. And you service them here in Palm Beach County, Broward County, Martin County.
That's right.
For about 30 years
Yes.
when you first founded VIP Care Management. So you have a lot of experience doing this, helping families, helping people that can't really help themselves. So I guess the first thing I'm going to ask and tell our audience, what is a geriatric care manager and how did you become one?
Okay, so a geriatric care manager is a holistic resource for senior services. We know a lot about a lot of things, and we're looking at the family and the senior very holistically. We're looking at the medical issues, the psychological issues, financial issues, insurance coverage, family dynamics, the condition of the home. We look at the big picture, figure out what are the problem areas, and then develop a plan of action for solving these problems based on whatever the goal might be. It might be to stay home. It might be to move into a care facility. There's lots of different goals, but we help families set these goals. And then we help them, or we do it ourselves. We implement the care plan. We solve all the problems. And as you know, this is a journey. You said it yourself. Yeah. So the problems evolve and change over time. So it is a very fluid job description, and it is an open job description.
So in the case that I just explained about the example that I had last week with this family, I felt that they could really use the services of a care manager, but they didn't know about it. They didn't know what a care manager did. And basically, I explained to them, a care manager can be your eyes and ears. So
right.
When you're not there with your loved one, when they're not close by where you can pop in and check on them, a care manager can.
That's one example of how care managers are used. When families live at a distance, they want someone with boots on the ground, eyes and ears, who will report back to them a very diplomatic and very true evaluation of what is happening. Because like you used in your example, the neighbor might have had another agenda, and that often is the case, I'm sorry to say. So we go in and we try to find out what is really happening, what is the truth, and then give suggestions for solving the problem. But a lot of people who need care managers do not have any family at all. They've outlived everyone, or for some reason they have pushed everyone away. Maybe there was addiction or gambling or something in the history that made them take a step back, and now they're alone.
Very sad.
It is sad. It's not only sad, it's very, it puts them in a precarious position of being open to exploitation or even just making very bad moves. So when families do come to the rescue or try to, they may have all the great intentions, but they truly have not been involved in the senior's life, and they're trying to play catch up and figure out, what's going on financially, what's going on medically. And we have the shortcuts for that because we've seen it so many times.
So how did your journey start in care management? How does one become a care manager?
Well, very reluctantly, I have to tell you that I was raised by my grandparents. My mother died when I was an infant, and I was taken in by my grandparents, who had amazing forethought. And in 1980, when I was graduating high school, my grandfather, who I called Dad, said to me, "Let me give you some money and you start a geriatric business because geriatrics are the future." This is 1980, okay? Wow. And you know what I said to him, because I was a little smart butt? I said, "Dad, I've had enough of you old people." So I'm, 18 years old, and I was not thinking geriatrics. And I spent my whole career in dealing with juvenile delinquents and kids and things like that. never thought I had an interest in this. And then when I got married, I became a home health care coordinator, and I started to really see the senior issues. And I met a geriatric care manager, and I took her to lunch, and I thought, I want to do this. Plus, I had a master's degree in psychology, so I knew I had the equipment for it. And I started the company 30 years ago with my husband, and then my children joined in. And we have other employees, too, that we consider family, but this is a family business.
And you've been doing it very well for a very long time. And care managers are, like I said, they are almost an extended part of a family. They sometimes, act like a family member, but not with the issues that family members have.
That's right.
You can look at things more objectively, right?
Right. We can function like the sister who knows everything about the topic. So you may have very capable, educated, smart, willing, loving children who want to step in. They just don't know what to do. So we are their guide. Sometimes they are actually doing more of the work, but we are telling them what to do. So every family utilizes a care manager differently.
So in that case, you're kind of a coach.
That's right.
Right?
Now that's the newest lingo, right? But yes, we are the coach for the kids. We're their support system. Sometimes they're just so devastated by seeing the changes in their parents. They need someone who can hear them about that. It's a lot of psychology involved in being a care manager, but it's also having great connections in the community, which you're one of mine. I mean, you cannot do this all by yourself. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it really takes a village to handle a senior too.
Or it takes a team, because if you're the coach, you've got your team, right, with different disciplines on your team to help you to facilitate the end result of what you're going for to get the goal, right?
Exactly.
I'm putting together a football analogy, but
Right.
but you have a goal, and you have your team, and you're coaching, everyone what they need to do, how they need to do it, what play to make, so to speak, right?
And of course, we have to take finances into consideration, because really, nursing homes are costing upwards of $13,000 a month. So unless you're super wealthy and you want to just write a check every month, there's government benefits that you also need to learn about, such as Medicaid and veteran benefits and
yes,
PACE
and we're going to get into that in a little bit.
Another specialty of ours.
So you do have to really have a wide range of knowledge in order to help all the people out there that, they're going to come to your door, really.
That's true.
Yeah. Well, this is awesome. We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, Sonia Coburn's going to be talking more about what geriatric care management is and what it can do for you, a family. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Arden Court's memory care community has the expertise and experience to simplify and enhance your loved one's life and to protect you, finding the peace of mind you deserve. Come, see the difference in a facility like Arden Courts that is 100% dedicated to Alzheimer's and dementia care can have on your loved one. Call us at 888-478-2410 or visit our website, arden-courts.com. You are listening to your host, Marcia Teele, an Alzheimer's disease and dementia care expert on caregiversolutions.info. If you have a question or wish to share a story, call into the show at 888-565-1470 and talk with Marcia. Now, back to Caregiver Solutions.
Welcome back to Caregiver Solutions Info Show. I'm your host, Marcia Teele, and I'm here with Sonia Coburn. Sonia is a geriatric care manager with VIP Care Management that she started about 30 years ago. So she has lots of experience and expertise in this field, and we're talking about what a care manager is and what they can do for families. And so we talked about, Sonia, you're the eyes and ears, you're the coach, you help families to kind of tie things up, unravel the problems, and then put it all back together in a neat little package for the end result to help people that need your help as far as life plans and really helping people to have a better quality of life.
That's the bottom
And
line.
So if people are listening to this right from the get-go, I would imagine a lot of people who don't know what a care manager is, as in last week when I ran into a nice family that they had no idea what a care manager was. What would you say is the best way for someone, no matter where they lived? You're here in South Florida, but people are listening to us from all over.
Right.
What would you say is the best way for someone to find a care manager, to find a good one, and how would they go about that?
Well, there is a website called www.caremanager.org, and that actually funnels you into the Aging Resource Center, and there will be people listed as care managers. Now, if they have a home health care address, then they are not the type of care manager that we are, but if they are just plain geriatric care management, then they are holistic and they're able to solve most problems. Whereas care management has become sort of a perverted, overused, genericized term. It is supposed to be about what we're talking about, which is assessing clients, coming up with plans, and helping them. But unfortunately, insurance companies and home care companies are calling everybody a care manager, and they don't really help do the things that we do.
And they may not have the credentials or the experience either.
Well, experience is hard to get. There's no school that you can go to for this. This is the school of hard knocks.
Yeah.
And you learn by meeting these families and solving the problems along the way. That's why being a 30-year-old company is such a value, because we have 30 years times all the staff of, seeing so many services, so many scenarios play out, and what their end results are, and how we, successfully solve problems for them.
So if someone went to that particular website and saw a listing of geriatric care managers, what are some of the things that maybe they should look for before they just eeny, meeny, miny, mo and pick one? Are there certain questions that families should ask? What would be important for a care manager to know about a certain situation before they would accept a case, so to speak?
Okay, so a geriatric care manager should actually have an office close to your home or close to the client. Local knowledge of local resources is one of the most important parts of helping a family. Anybody can go on the internet, pull up a generic list of facilities, and that does not mean that they're going to see the right facilities for their loved one. So that's true of any kind of resource. So local knowledge, local address, office, working out of an office. And to me, what is so helpful to my clients is the fact that it isn't just Sonia Coburn. Sonia Coburn has a team of people so that Sonia Coburn can have a weekend or a holiday. Truly, a lot of geriatric care managers are working out of their home, doing this on their own. The clients are only limited to the knowledge of that one person, not a team of people problem solving on their behalf. So I think that's a very important thing to ask. How long someone has been in business, their background educationally too, and just trying to figure out what it is you think you want this care manager to do. There are some that are nurses. If you're trying to turn your house into a hospital for your husband and you're bringing in all the equipment and all the services, you want an RN, geriatric care manager. That's not me. I admit that up front. I am more of a lifestyle manager and a government benefits care manager, and I'll manage people at home or in facilities. But if they're needing high medical need, they need a care manager with that background.
That was a very good point, because actually everybody has maybe their specialty within the care management realm
That's
that
right.
they focus on. And that was a very good point. So these are some of the questions that if you're looking for a care manager, what is your situation? What is your goal? What are you needing a care manager to do? And then have that conversation and say, is this something that you can help me with, or would I be better served in a different way?
Exactly. A lot of what we do is help people financially, because the programs that are out there to help pay for care are very hard to get. You can go on the internet and try to apply, but you might be denied because the internet will not tell you everything that you're supposed to gather together for these applications. So it is a specialty.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about that. That was a great segue into the next section, because part of what you do, besides, assessing the situation and getting maybe in the home what a family would need, whether it be home health or, some kind of help with the house itself. I mean, if you see a house
Yes.
that's all run down and falling apart, you're going to, try to make it a better living situation and get whatever needs to be done.
And a lot of care managers don't have that ability. We have a real estate division of our company, and we have I'll tell you about a really cool story.
Sure.
Hoarding is something that is very common, and you see it on television, hoarding, buried alive, etc. When people hoard, they tend to have money, believe it or not. This is not a behavior of indigent folk. We came across this woman who was referred by a nursing home who needed help. She did not want to involve her daughter. Mm-hmm. Her daughter had actually come in, walked into the house, saw the hoarding situation, which literally was floor to ceiling. We literally crawled over piles of clothes, shoes, and purses to get in the front door, physically crawled over it. And all throughout the house, that's what the house was like. There were rats everywhere. The daughter threw up her hands, told the the nursing home administrator, "I'm done. I am not walking in that house, and good luck." And she left. We met with this very nice lady, and she bonded with us she's very paranoid, and she bonded with us after we met with her a few times. And we told her, listen, you can't go home. We have to get this house. The health department is actually after her. The homeowners association is after her because the rats from her apartment were going everywhere. So she didn't believe that there were rats. We showed her pictures, etc. She said, okay, I will let you help me, but I have a lot of money in the house, and I don't want just anybody going in there. She had not gone to the bank in years. I mean, she cashed her check, and she was stockpiling cash. She didn't know where it was.
But
okay?
when she first said that, because she was a little paranoid and a little strange,
We don't know.
You don't know if she's telling you the truth or not at that point, right?
Or if it's already been stolen, So in a case like that, we called in junk haulers. First, we get rid of the garbage, and we could not leave them there alone. So our care managers, myself
because
and
what
Linda,
if they found something, right? Is that why you couldn't leave them alone?
in case they found something. So we had to go through every pocket, every sock, every purse, everything. And we did, and we found a sock in a purse under some papers with $78,000 in cash.
Say that again.
$78,000 in cash in one purse. Not to mention the gold and all of that. Then, after we got the layers of garbage out of there were two giant statues, bronze statues. I looked them up with the artist. What are they worth? $9,000 each.
Wow.
This woman had taste, okay? She had over 200 purses. Some were Louis Vuitton and Gucci fakes, and some were real. And so, of course, we have buyers for all of those things. And that's what we do, is we put all the money together, we put it in a trust, and then she's got, thankfully, we're selling the home too. She'll have enough money to live out her days without ever going on government pension and, government benefits like Medicaid, and she'll be fine. And we're her care manager taking care of it. And her daughter is very happy. We did speak with her daughter, and she's like, thank God.
So the daughter washed her hands of the situation initially, right?
Mm-hmm.
And let's assume that this woman didn't have a daughter,
Right.
okay? And here she was, like, living in all of this trash, basically hoarding everything,
Right.
rat infested, being kind of a loner, right? Never
Right.
went out to the bank. What would have happened in this situation if there was no care manager to deal with this? What would have happened to her?
A lot of times the homeowners associations are the ones that get stuck with situations like this because nobody comes to the rescue. Nobody makes the house saleable to bring in a good tenant or a good buyer. And the person just lives in the nursing home. And a social worker would have gotten her on Medicaid easily because she had no money in the bank. She looked like she was broke. So it would have worked out for her. She would have been safe personally, but her assets gone because eventually the homeowners association would have foreclosed, and then they would just throw everything away, and that purse of $78,000 would be in a garbage can someplace.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, amazing
Oh.
stories. I'm sure you have another one I'd love to hear because this is real life. I
No,
mean, this
it is.
happens. This is not something that, is a once in a blue moon type of thing with you all because you've been doing this over 30 years. And I want to hear another one, but first we're going to take a quick break and we're going to be giving away a free book called The 36-Hour Day. And if you don't have this book and you're a family caregiver, you want to get a piece of paper and a pen ready. When we come back from commercial break, I'm going to tell you how you can get it absolutely free. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Feelings of depression, isolation, and frustration are common among persons living with Alzheimer's or related dementias. It's common among those who care for them, too. It takes a lot of patience and courage. It also takes knowing when you can no longer do it alone. At Arden Courts, memory care is all we do. Talk to us. We know. We understand. We can help. Don't let guilt keep you from making the right decision. Visit arden-courts.com. Arden Courts follows equal housing opportunity guidelines.
Welcome back to Caregiver Solutions Info Show. I'm your host, Marcia Teele, and I'd like to take this opportunity now to tell you about our national sponsor, Arden Courts Memory Care. Arden Courts Memory Care has about 50 memory care assisted livings throughout the United States. And what they do is take care of people that really need more help than what some caregivers can even do at home. And not only do they care for people that have memory loss, they care for the caregiver too. And as such, they are a great resource to help you in whatever aspect that you need, whether you're still at home or even if you do have a loved one that is actually a resident of Arden Courts. Today, because you're listening to this program, I'd like to offer you this free book. It's called the 36-Hour Day book, and it's a wonderful resource for family caregivers. It talks about all kinds of challenges that caregivers have, but not only that, it has the solutions to those challenges. Lots of tips, a lot of information, definitions, talks about the different types of dementia, Alzheimer's being the most prevalent one, but a lot of other different types also. So if you don't have this book and you would love to have it as a resource, all you have to do is ask for it by sending an email to delray@arden-courts.com. Again, just send an email. Put your name, address, and telephone number in that email saying that you would like the free 36-Hour Day book that you heard about on the Caregiver Solution Info Show, and send that email to delray@arden, ARDEN, -courts, COURTS.com, and they'll be happy to mail that right to you. So today we're talking about geriatric care management, what it is, what it can do for you as a caregiver. And my guest is Sonia Cobran. She's the president and founder of VIP Care Management in Lantana, Florida, servicing 3 counties here for almost 30 years. And so we're talking about things that care managers do, how they can help. And what I find very interesting are the real life stories that you've encountered over these past 30 years. Some of them that are kind of bizarre, like the one that you just shared with us. Maybe some are even sad, but I'm sure that because you're there, it turns out there's a happy ending. But do you have any other stories that you could share with us?
I do. And I just want to say before I share this next story that a lot of people say to me, how do you do the work you do? It's so sad. You find people in such sad conditions. And what I say to them is, we can leave them in a better place than we found them. That is what you're looking for, is quality of life. That is the main goal of everything we do here. You can't stop aging. You can't stop disease processes a lot of times, but you can make things a little better.
Yes.
So another situation that happened is a homeowners association president called us and said, we have an elderly couple. We think they need a lot of help. We think there might be some dementia happening. So we go and we knock on the door, and they let us in. And the house is okay. It's not terrible. But then we go into the kitchen, and the kitchen table is piled with mail. And they gave us permission, and we started looking through the mail. Check after uncashed check. So then I find a letter from Bank of America Mortgage. They were literally 5 days away from foreclosure. They had Bank of America statements showing they had plenty of money, but they were not paying their bills anymore. And they had stopped paying on a mortgage. Now, they built this house 20-something years ago, and they were only $5,000 short of paying off this house. So they had a checkbook. I had them write a check for the balance due. We ran to the local branch of Bank of America, paid the bill, and saved the house all in one day. That happened. Okay. So these kinds of, and then of course, there was a lot of money that had to be marshaled, as we call it. In other words, gathered and managed. And my husband ended up becoming the legal guardian for this couple because the dementia was quite large. It was pretty intense.
And what was the average age, would you say, of this couple?
I would say, if I can remember, it's probably about mid-80s. And the average age of our clients is 83. And that's sort of typical for the average age of someone going into assisted living or nursing home, maybe a little bit younger these days.
Yeah.
My guess is that in the future, because now that rents and expenses have gone so high with inflation, that people are going to be looking to senior care communities a few years earlier, because the cost of living is mitigated when you have communal living. So I think we're going to start to see our population get younger.
You know what I find interesting about the story you just shared? In my experience, and tell me if this is the same with you, you don't usually have a husband and wife that have dementia at the same time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the one or the other,
Exactly.
and then one becomes a caregiver for the other, and that other person can learn to pay the bills or continue to pay the bills. But it's more rare, I think, that both have dementia to that degree at the same time, where
think you're
now
right.
everything is just falling apart.
I agree. I see that too. But, you know, losing track of paying bills is one of the early signs. Losing track of the mail, not being able to understand the mail that's coming in, and so you just stop reading it. And that happens an awful lot. We received a referral from the Veterans Administration Hospital, the VA hospital in West Palm Beach. And this gentleman, his wife was handling everything for him. He had early Alzheimer's, but it was her job in the family to pay the bills, to coordinate doctor's appointments, to run his life, essentially. And his early dementia was manifesting in taking apart the machinery in the house, taking apart the toilet, taking apart things that you need in the house.
Appliances and
Yes.
things, taking it apart.
He was a tinkerer. And so there were issues about that. So we go and we meet him, and he explains that he had found his wife. She had had a heart attack in the living room. She passed away very quickly, leaving him completely devastated. He did not know what to do. So what's the first thing that happens? He calls his wife's sister. And what's the second thing that happens is the wife's sister's daughter, the granddaughter, step-granddaughter, comes flying in from whatever and goes through all the jewelry and takes anything she wants, including computers, etc., and cleaned him out a little bit. So we took him back into Palm Beach County. He was in Martin. We took him into Palm Beach County, and we placed him in an independent living facility, and we manage him. But now his dementia has changed. As of today, he actually hit somebody, and the police were called. And so I sent my staff member flying up to the facility to meet with the police so that he would not be arrested. Instead, he was taken to a mental health hospital where he could be evaluated. So having an advocate, a medical advocate, somebody who knows your history, because if you're alone in the world, who's going to tell the doctor that this isn't how you typically act, that this is a new behavior for you? Doctors in the emergency room will just assume that if you're acting a little off, that you're always off.
Or you're on drugs.
Exactly.
Right? I
Oh,
mean,
sure.
you could have dementia, but because you're acting weird and they don't know you, you're on drugs or you're drunk.
Yes, drunk. And then some of them are drinking because they're self-medicating from all of their depression and anxiety. So we deal with all of that. I mean, today I got a call that one of my clients was drinking hand sanitizer because she wants alcohol so badly. So now we're going to have to do an intervention. So this is something that children deal with too. I mean, we're dealing with it as care managers, but when the children are faced with these outlandish scenarios, they don't know what to do, and they sometimes get really emotional, and they can't make decisions from a place of high emotion.
Well, again, you have perfect timing because my next question was, when is it the right time, or when is it the best time, and how does someone know when it's time to call in the help of a geriatric care manager?
Well, most people wait until it's way too late. I had a gentleman walk in the door last week, and I complimented him because he was there to plan in advance. There was no problems happening, but he knew that planning would be helpful. And it's a luxury for me when I get to plan from that place where I say, this might happen, that might happen, this is how we'll handle it. Most of the time, there's a crisis, and that's when we get involved. And families, if they could think about, these are difficult decisions to have, though. I mean, conversations to have. A lot of our seniors, they don't want to talk about it. They feel like it might all bring it on. There's a little bit of a superstition happening there.
You're right, and they're private, and sometimes they don't even want to talk about it to their family. They don't want their children to know. They don't want to burden their children. Maybe they just don't want their children to know maybe even what their assets
Or
are.
anything, yeah.
Or anything.
Right.
And so the children have, like you say, sometimes no clue because the parents won't share. And what are they to do, right? And you want to try to preempt a crisis happening, but if you don't know that that's what could happen, how do you know how to prevent it, in other words, right?
That's right.
And so, knowing when to call somebody in before a crisis happens, that's probably one of the most difficult things, and probably why people wait until there is a crisis, and then you have no choice.
Right. And I think there's another reason, too, why people hear about care management and other solutions at a very late time in their situation. It's because, believe it or not, doctors' offices don't know about this. Hospitals, they know that there's such a thing as a care manager, but they don't understand how all the dots connect. That's what a care manager does, is connect all these dots and make it all work. But just like in medicine, we've compartmentalized people into their upper body and their lower body and their psychology and their physiology and their organs, and the doctors just cut us up into little pieces, and they only look at that portion. And we are a holistic being, and we are spiritual beings. And that is why people seeking information often don't even get information when they're trying to learn, because the person they're asking only knows their part of it. A nursing home social worker only knows about admission and discharge, and that's it. They don't know anything that comes in between.
Very good point. Very good point. Because you would think that, a primary care physician would be like our analogy before with the football. They would be the coach, and then the team to help the goal with that person to get better would consist of the gastroenterologist, the cardiologist, all the ologists, right? And that the primary care physician would be the one managing that and putting it all together, connecting the dots, gathering all the information for the best outcome. But it doesn't usually happen that way.
No, it really doesn't. Even when people are trying to get good information, first of all, they don't know the questions to ask. And then they don't, get the whole picture. And especially when it comes to government benefits, because it changes a lot, people are getting old information. And then it's also different in Florida than it is anywhere else. So then someone from New York trying to help their friend in Florida is giving them completely erroneous information. So that is why a care manager is so important, because they have the local knowledge, they have the holistic information, and they don't have a dog in this fight.
Yes.
We don't have any financial gain from any solution that a family might choose.
And families pay you private pay out of pocket.
That's right. They
Okay.
pay us by the hour. And the way it works with us, we're very unique in this, that we will do as little or as much as a family needs us to do at any given point. And that need for us might rise and fall as the situation, as we solve crises and then things stabilize. So some care managers charge a big assessment fee, some charge a small assessment fee. We don't charge assessment fees. We do a free consultation, and then any hours that you want from us, you pay for the hours. And I always tell families, think about this like a business. Stop being so emotional. Think about it as, what hats are you able to wear? Let's say you're a finance person. Okay, you be the bill payer. You be the one that looks over the bills. But if you're not that person, then someone else needs to wear that hat, because that job has to get done.
Right.
So you'll see this with families. You'll see, like, the son is in charge of the money and the daughter's in charge of the health care. And that's smart. That's really smart, to divide up according to people's abilities. But if there's nobody there, or if there's nobody with any abilities, and believe me, there are clients that I have that have disabled children. That's the only child they have is a disabled child.
And they're not able to
They
help.
can't do it. Or they might have a daughter with cancer who's dealing with her own situation. Because when you think about it, my clients are 80, 90, 100. Their kids are 60, 70, 80. They've got their own thing going
Yeah,
on.
they do. They have their own problems. They have their own children, and their grandchildren, and people are busy, and you don't know what you don't know, right?
And what you don't know will cost you.
Yes.
Making a mistake will cost you minimum $5,000 to $10,000.
Which is a good point to bring up when you're talking about that you help also with finances and coordinating benefits. And one of the things I know that you do is when there's a situation with a veteran that maybe doesn't have a lot of money, so you're talking about VA benefits, but also maybe Medicaid assistance. And so
Absolutely.
you have to coordinate that, because like you said earlier in the show, you can try it on your own, but you make one little mistake and it's going to cost you big time, or it's going to cost you maybe not so much monetarily, but it'll cost you in time, where, oh, well, we just got rejected because we forgot to dot an I or cross a T, not knowing, or left something blank that we shouldn't have left blank.
Right.
And so it gets kicked back, and now a family's efforts to try to get certain benefits are going to be waylaid because they just didn't know, how to do it properly.
The truth is, as far as Medicaid goes, you could go on the website and it'll tell you need, let's say, 10 items to submit with your application. But they're so generically worded, like proof of income. Well, what do you think DCF, Medicaid, considers proof of income? It could be a lot of things.
I was going to say my last tax return.
No, they don't care about that.
They don't?
No.
Okay.
So, understanding the definition of terms and what they're actually looking for, that's our job. So what we do is we look at the financial situation, we advise the person, if they can qualify or not. And sometimes they need the help of an elder law attorney to get eligible. So we can, together with an elder law attorney, we can make somebody eligible who isn't. And we're so lucky in Florida. People have no clue that being married in Florida, as far as Medicaid concerned, is amazing, because you can actually do something called an interspousal transfer, where you can transfer all of your money that, if you're sick, to a well spouse, and Medicaid will not count that money.
But is that a new rule?
No, I've been doing it since 1993.
Wow.
And why don't you hear about this?
Right.
Because the way it's done is through DCF paperwork, not legal documents. So lawyers don't make money on that idea. So they get them into other ideas. You have to understand that the biggest one, in my opinion, one of the biggest obstacles that seniors and their families face is the hidden agendas, that they don't understand that everybody has an agenda. Hospices have an agenda. Nursing homes, hospitals, assisted livings, home care companies, they all have their special interest, and that factors into how they guide somebody. That's why you have to have that neutral third party who does not have any money to be gained from the decisions that you make.
Amazing, really. You know, when you put it that way, you just kind of like people aren't seeing the big picture sometimes, and they might be guided maybe down the wrong path, right? So depending upon who's leading the bus, right? So we have a little bit of time left, and I'd like to take that time to talk about something that you educate a lot of people on, and you call it the 4 C's of facility selection. And we just talked about that, about everybody might need some help down the road. And a lot of times this starts with home health and, you know, a care manager getting in home health. Maybe someone would be best served if they went to a day center, which you would help get them into a daycare center for some stimulation, some social time, those kinds of things.
Very important.
And then eventually they may need to go into another place to live, whether it's an independent living, like you just mentioned, that one gentleman, or assisted living when they need more help, or memory care, right?
Or
And
nursing home.
Or nursing home. And I always said that teaching people that as it's like stair steps, right? As you need more care, the price goes up. So, you know, you need more assistance and you're going to pay more. And ultimately, like you mentioned earlier, the cost of nursing homes now, $14,000 a month. A friend of mine was looking at a nursing home just this week for her 104-year-old mother.
Wow.
And she called around, and the one that she thought that she would choose, first of all, had a waiting list. And second of all, it was $14,000 a month.
Yeah.
And she said, how are people supposed to afford this, right? And
Medicaid.
Yeah. But, you know, the thing of it is people don't know, even with facilities, where to go, when to go, how do you know which one? So you have the 4 C's of facility selection.
Yes.
So would you care to go through that kind of briefly and tell us
Yes.
what those are?
And I'd like to point out with the inflation that has happened, which also hit healthcare, it is now just as expensive to have round-the-clock care at home than it is to be in a nursing home.
Yes.
Okay? So we are now in a different kind of analysis. So what do I guide a family through? I call it the 4 C's because you really have to be very methodical in the way you think through. A hospital will give you a list of facilities, and you don't know one from the other, and it means nothing.
Right.
Because every facility has their abilities and their weaknesses that just make them not right for you. So, first 2 C's are non-negotiable. Care. You cannot go for less care than what you need. All right. So if you're looking for, let's say, an assisted living facility, there are some that are really good and really want people who have a lot of medical issues. Maybe you're in a wheelchair, or maybe you need insulin injections, and they can handle it. There are other assisted livings, they won't tell you this, but they want people that are super healthy, and they don't want anybody in a wheelchair, and they don't want anybody in a walker. And this is not the right facility for you. Now, it would be right for someone else, maybe. So we're looking at, can they deliver the care that one really needs? It is not mandated to have an RN around the clock in an assisted living. The ones that do are the ones that are looking to help people that have a higher medical need. And they might have accelerated licenses, like a limited mental health license or an extended congregate care license. Care, first place. Cost. You can't change what you can afford, right? You can negotiate maybe a little bit, but in the summertime, but not in the wintertime when everyone is here. So you have to know which ones are in your price point. And it always makes me laugh when people call and they name out all these, the top tier of assisted livings in this community that charge a big equity just to walk in the door. And they want that one, but they have a $2,000 a month income. So they don't know the difference. And we have to educate them about what is the true and real cost. Then comes community. And by community, I mean locale. Where do you need to be close to? Do you need to be close to a doctor, a dialysis center, a child, friends and family, a synagogue, whatever it is that's going to make your life feel more, the same as much as it can? You want to be in the right community. And then comes culture. Now, culture can mean many things, but essentially it means, where are there people living there that are a lot like me? People I want to be friends with, people I typically befriend. Do they speak the same language that I do? If you're religious and you really want a facility with a religious angle, someone who's going to provide for you in that way, there's a few around. You have to know which ones they are. And, with one thing we're starting to see more than ever is the Hispanic community is finally entering the assisted living and the senior care world.
Because typically they take care of their loved ones at home, right?
Yes, because what it is they'll have, let's say, grandma and the children, multi-generational family, somebody's at home at all times. Or they'll make sure that someone is home at all times.
Right.
But it is not typical anymore that people are not working, like all family members are having to work. So that is why I think that it's becoming less likely for a family to care for people at home. It's the hardest job you'll ever do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
People don't know that until they're in the throes of it, really.
Yes. And, it's one of these topics that people really don't want to talk about or think about until it happens to them. It's just a little too intense. And for that reason, when they are facing it, and even when we are helping them address each challenge that we can anticipate on their behalf, they feel like they're getting hit in the face with an assault. It's like, oh my God, now this is happening. Oh, I didn't know that was going to happen. Of course, we can see it, and we try to help prepare people for all the eventualities. But for someone going through this alone, it feels like one thing after another is just beating them down. And they can get sick. And I've seen it in my own family. My grandma, almost 100 years old, just passed away this past week.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Thank you. And she was amazing, and I'm lucky she never developed Alzheimer's. But her son and his wife were the primary caregivers. And by the time she left this world, they were so beat up and so tired that it's just a hard thing to do. It's a wonderful thing to do, and it's the hardest thing you'll ever do.
It's rewarding, but it really takes a lot out of you, and overwhelming and exhausting. And so we tell people, it's a good thing, but don't be a martyr to do it, because you're at risk of your own life not having quality. And
Well, I don't know if this statistic is still there, but they used to say that 60% of all caregivers passed away before the one they were caring for. And I cannot tell you how many times I've met with daughters especially that have spent their own retirement taking care of their mother, and now they have nothing. And you really have to understand that if you stop working to take care of another person, that reduces your income. And when it's time for you to get Social Security, you get less.
That's right.
Because you didn't earn enough.
And those are the little things that people don't think about in the moment.
No.
So, Sonia, this has been wonderful, educational, so
Thank you.
helpful to so many people, I'm sure, to learning about what a geriatric care manager is, what they can do, how they can help. If someone's listening to you and talking today about what you do and they'd like to contact you, can they do that, and how?
Yes, they can call my office at 561-588-5151. That's 561-588-5151. We will do free consultations, so please get the education that you need. And if you want to retain us and hire us, you're welcome to do that, and we'll help you as little or as much as you like. And we're here and we've been here for a long, long time, and we're not going anywhere. So we're always here as a resource for you.
Well, thank you again. Apologize for the coughing. I have laryngitis, but the show must go on. And I want to thank you for being here tonight. It was super, super good.
Thank you.
And if you all want to call VIP Care Management, talk to Sonia or one of her team members, again, the phone number is 561-588-5151. And don't forget to get your free 36-hour day book. Send an email to delray@arden-courts.com. And we will be back next week with another show for you on Caregiver Solutions Info Show. Until then, take care of yourself and stay well, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this week's Caregiver Solutions with Marcia Teele. Join us next week as Marcia, who has 15 years of Alzheimer's disease and dementia care experience, brings you more needed information to help with the care of your loved one. This show can be seen again on caregiversolutions.info, and questions can be left on the site, which may be used on the program to help others. See you next week for more